friends, my name is Avalon and today I have prepared a pretty exciting video for us. I am going to share how much I made on Etsy in 2024. This was the first year that I've ever sold online and my first year of Etsy, and I started in January, so we have a full year to look at. I am a crochet pattern designer. I sell plushies and patterns on my Etsy. Just to give a little bit of background, I do not do this full time. I do have a whole job that I do. I am a dog groomer, and that's where I make all of my money. I just do this crochet stuff on the side. It's just kind of something, it's my hobby. It's what I enjoy to do. This is really just what I've made as a part-time crocheter. Honestly, it's a lot more than I ever expected to make. When I released my first pattern, I was sure that I'd maybe get like 5 sales. And then I was completely blown away by the amount of love my first pattern got. So you're gonna see all the numbers and stuff, but I definitely don't make enough to live off of from just crochet. I started crocheting in September of 2023 and I just totally fell in love with it. And now I am like very invested into this hobby. I just super enjoy it. I love the community and I really enjoy, like, honestly, like selling my patterns and stuff too. It's almost like a challenge. I've had some patterns that have done really well, and then I've had some patterns that have not done well at all. And that is totally okay because, you know, this isn't my livelihood. This is just something I kind of do for fun. So I feel like you have a pretty good background on me now. Let's go ahead and move over to my computer and we can start looking at the numbers together. I'm a little bit nervous because typically I'm not the best businesswoman and I typically avoid any analytics, which I know is probably bad, but I feel like it takes a lot of stress off of me, and because this is just a hobby, I feel kind of okay with doing that. But let's go ahead, let's get to my computer. We're actually gonna go over to my other computer, not this one. All right, I'm at my computer now, but before we jump in, I realized I kind of want to tell you why I wanted to make this video. This is just the type of video that I know I would have been very interested in just like finding early on in my own like crochet journey, and even just having my own Etsy store and selling online, because this is truly the beginning. This is a full year of me selling online. I just want to mention we're all going through our own journeys. Please don't compare yourself. I'm happy with the amount I made because I truly was expecting nothing, and so I am so like so very grateful to anyone who has purchased a pattern or plushie from me. I'm just very grateful. Let's just start looking at these numbers. I know I've been talking a lot, so sorry about that. Let me put on my glasses so I can actually see the screen because I cannot see without my glasses. Very professional business lady over here, okay? We're just gonna start with a bang, okay? We're gonna start with how much I made this year, and we're gonna start with talking about revenue. So just so you know, revenue is like the amount that your shop has like pulled in. For instance, this is before Etsy fees, this is before taxes, and Etsy fees are quite high. So that is something to take note of if you are wanting to start your own Etsy. Just, you know, to keep in mind when you do it. Let's pop this up on the screen for you right now. I have this nice little bar graph right here, as now you can see. I'm gonna go ahead and scroll up and we're going to see how much revenue I made for all of 2024. And there it is. Looks like I made around $7,500-ish, just a little under there. And that's just revenue. So that's before Etsy took out anything from there. So I did not see all of that money. That also doesn't include like shipping costs. So as you can see, I've had 20,000 people check out my Etsy shop, and then I've had 1,500-ish orders in the year. My conversion rate is 7.6. I know when I shop on Etsy, I don't always purchase things from the shop, so I feel like that's really fine. That's $7,000 that I have made. Honestly, I'm pretty satisfied with the direction this bar graph is going. Obviously at the end of the year, it's December and Christmas, so it's typically going to get a bit higher. But if we look at, this is just in visits. In January, I had 719 visits, and then as we go along, let's see. Oh yeah, this is my lowest month, must be June, with 653. But then as we continue, it just goes up, which is, that's great. Wow, almost 6,000 people in December. This is actually my first time looking at this with you, so this is really, we're both reacting together right now. So that's just with visits. Here's of orders, but let's look at the revenue. I think that's the most interesting one. So my first month, I released my flying pig pattern. I truly didn't understand that patterns could make you $300. That was the only thing that I had in my shop, so I can tell you for certain that all of that revenue is from that flying pig pattern. And then in February, I did start selling plushies, so things kind of went up from there. Continually was selling more plushies. And then you'll notice that in April and May and June, my numbers got low. I was still pattern designing, but it was really kind of a struggle. I was really struggling with one of my patterns. It just wasn't coming out how I wanted it to. And then I also had a couple patterns that were kind of a bust. So that's kind of what that was looking like. I think if I were, you know, looking at bar graphs, seeing these low numbers, if I were to tell myself back then, I would just say, keep going. Like, you know, sometimes patterns are a bust and that's okay. I also wasn't posting my plushies as consistently, like listing them here on Etsy. If you do sell on Etsy, you'll find out pretty quickly that listing is a bit time consuming. And after that, I honestly, you'll see these numbers go up is partially because of Christmas and also partially because I just started pattern writing a lot faster. And I attribute most of my sales to my patterns, just so you know. I don't make that much off of selling plushies. My plushie sales don't do as much as my pattern sales do. I think that it just depends on the person though, because I know a lot of people who make all of their sales and they make a lot of money from just selling plushies. So it's really what you dedicate yourself to. Because my plushie patterns typically are my selling point. And then we get to, you know, I remember in September, I actually sold quite a few plushies. That was a good month for me. And then October, we had a little dip, but that was okay because in November, I was shocked. I think I released my like hippo pattern and it did really, really well. And then December, you know, that's the holidays. I kind of expected it to. But for November and December, and honestly October too, I was really pushing out more patterns. And I think that's why this trend is going upwards. And that's because I just had more patterns in my shop and they were able to collect. Don't trust this number. I'm going to show you the Etsy fees and stuff, but let's scroll down and let's see what we got. Etsy has all of these nice stats for us. I really haven't looked at these stats too much, but that is actually wild that there is 1,300 abandoned carts has added up to $10,000 in potential sales. That's more than I made last year. That's crazy. Let's go ahead and just scroll down. Oh yeah, these are some pretty important stats that I want to mention here too. My most important thing that I can tell you is social media. This is really where you can pull people in. If you can get a good social media platform, it can really help with your sales and stuff for your shop. Trust me, I know social media is a lot of work. Like here I am right now talking to you. It is pretty tough. I guess my biggest advice for just social media in general would probably be just to be consistent and have fun with it. Don't force it, because if you force it, it's going to be really hard to be consistent. And also use the same plushies for multiple posts if you have to. Just take pictures of them in different lightings, different settings, outside, just wherever you can. That is my advice, because having a good social media really helps pull people into my Etsy. As you can see, this is like direct links. I bring in 41% of my visits, it says. Okay, so I do pay for Etsy ads. I don't advise you guys to pay for Etsy ads. If you don't, that's just something that I do. I'm not sure if it helps. I feel like it might help. It says that Etsy brings in 59%, and I don't know. I think that it probably helps, but I'm not completely sure. I still need to do some more investigating. I would just say maybe try it for your shop and see if it is helping your Etsy shop if you have one. And if not, then don't do it, you know? We're about to look at what items actually made me the most money. And it would have to be my flying pig pattern. Look at that revenue, 1,850. And then the next pattern, let's see, is my hippo pattern. My hippo pattern, that one sold in November. That's when that was listed. And then after that is my my small strawberry pillow pattern. This one was a little bit of a shocker to me because I wasn't expecting this strawberry pattern to do so well. It was actually just something I made up on a whim, and it actually has the most orders out of any of my designs that I've ever made. So it is like a cheaper pattern because I do have it for free on my Instagram. Or if you are a pattern designer and you sell your patterns on Etsy and you do free patterns sometimes on your Instagram, my biggest advice is to make a PDF version of your pattern too to sell on Etsy, because I originally was planning on only making this a free pattern. I almost didn't make this one into a PDF pattern because I thought people would only care about the free version, but I was very wrong. And it looks like 575 people were interested in purchasing the PDF pattern. So that is just my advice. If you do make a free pattern, also make a Etsy version. And you know, if it doesn't sell very well, you can always take down the pattern later. The fourth most sold pattern, I sold about 109 of this one. There's my revenue. This is the plushie I've sold the most of. It looks like I sold 4. Well, this pattern is from 2025. That's why it has 0000. That's because this pattern came out in January, so I didn't make any money on it for 2024. All right, so now that we've looked at all of that, let's go ahead and I want to show you the Etsy fees. I think I'm just going to show you January versus December. So my first month ever selling, this is how much I made. Like I said, the only pattern that I sold at this time was my flying pig pattern. So I made around $300 in sales for my flying pig pattern, and that is like revenue. And then Etsy took away from me $82. And so my net profit was $217. But of course that doesn't include like the materials I used and all of that. But yeah, that's how much I made for then. Let's compare it to December, which you saw was my best month. This is my revenue right here. This $2,000. I guess they took out sales tax and stuff right there. So this is after sales tax. And then here's my Etsy fees. So if you make around $2,000, they'll take about $500 of that. That's about a fourth of how much I made, which is, you know, that's pretty high. You feel me? And then also we have the marketing, and I spent around $70 in shipping. So my net profit was this 1,400 number right there. That's about how much I made in December. So I feel like that gives you a pretty good idea about how much Etsy actually takes. So right here, it basically looks like it's about a fourth of what I made is about how much they take in fees. And if you want to look at this a little bit closer, you can see here's all the listing fees, transaction fees, processing fees. There's a lot of fees. I'm not sure if a part of that also is, for a second I was thinking that was including marketing fees, but my marketing fees is right down here. Paid Etsy basically for Etsy ads so that they can like push out my products into the atmosphere so that people can find me. Yeah, I think that that's everything that we can look at together. So I guess that's how much I made in 2024. Let me know if you appreciated this video. I hope that it helps somebody out there. I try to like give advice along the way. This is not my full-time job. This is something I just do on the side because I truly just enjoy it. And I think that I wouldn't be able to do it quite as much as I do if I did not enjoy it. I feel like one of my pieces of advice is to definitely love what you do. If you're going to start a small business or something and you're really wanting to get dedicated to it, I would recommend to make sure that you love what you're doing, because that makes it all the easier, because you're going to want to do it. Like, this is a hobby, like it's a small business, but it's also my hobby. It's something that I love to do. And honestly, if I stop loving it, then I will stop doing it, because to my mind, there is no use in making a lot of money but hating what I'm doing. Unless, of course, I'm making like so much money that it's like crazy a lot of amount and I can like go to Barbados like every couple of months. Then maybe I'll do what I hate to do. Okay, so I think that's enough of me talking. If you are running your own like crochet or just Etsy business in general, I'm wishing you guys so much luck. I hope that you guys make all the money. I'm with you guys. Let's support each other. Love you guys. Happy crocheting and bye.